Hello and a warm welcome back to the WenDirk cast, your podcast about all things concerning the Metaverse Football League. We're your hosts, Calvinator and Jimbo, and together we'll discuss latest MFL updates, transfers and developments, everything that's been going on in MFL over the last 7 or so days. One important note before we do get started, none of what we chat about here is financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse Football. We've got a slightly different guest on today's podcast with us, Calvinator. I hope you're doing well. And then do you want to also just introduce who we've got joining us for episode 36 today?
Yes. Well, maybe I should tell a little story because last week, with my big shout out of all the new users, I mentioned him as my first referral. And then he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, actually, I listened to the podcast and that's great to hear that I'm your first referral, etc." We got talking and I thought, it would be great to also have more new users, people who join the project on the show and more hear their stories. And let's see what it's like to join MFL nowadays. So he is here to talk about all of that. Palmer, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me both. It's been a pleasure to be your first referral. I hope you got a little player from that. I know I did. So yeah, and thank you for the invite onto the podcast.
Great you're here.
No,
yes.
Welcome, mate. Not a problem. And the first fellow Englishman on the podcast as well. So it's a first for many things on this week. So we will jump into a bit more about Palmer and sort of, his MFL career, albeit a very short one so far. I think 12 days he's been with us. I say with us, sounds a bit like cult there, with us. He's been with MFL. So later on after weekly updates, we'll dive into sort of everything that about that 12 days that he's been with us, his thoughts, opinions, concerns, what it's like being a new player, a new user into MFL. But also I think what's quite interesting is you join during the season as well, so you've got the aspect of you're joining but you can't quite get into things because you want to be raring to go but you can't quite get into it. So it's really interesting to hear some of those thoughts. But weekly updates as per Calva. Do you know what, I'm gonna ask you for your weekly updates first, which we never do. Yeah. I'll ask you. Go on, you can fire us away this time.
Yeah, well, there were no matches really. Well, I was already like a couple. Like I finished the Bronze League, I think, and Iron League, but it was no cup matches anymore, no cup finals or semis or anything. So it was quite a quiet week. I did end like pretty nicely with my bronze club, Cavaliers de Sintra still. But it's more, I think, already looking forward, planning ahead a little bit, like what I'm gonna do with my teams, especially my goal team, Casablanca Corsairs, who had a atrocious season. I think they would have been relegated if relegation was there. So that's kind of a wake-up call for me to maybe do something with them, maybe change tactics a little bit. So mostly this week for me has been a bit about like planning in my mind, like what am I gonna do with those teams and buying a couple new guys.
So it's more forward thinking for you now in preparation for the transfer window opening tomorrow. When this releases, it'll be tomorrow, May the 7th. Yeah, so it's always a good plan to have a little bit of forward thinking, so you're not totally out of the loop and someone steals your favourite player or player you're looking at. But yeah, sort of, I guess, a bit of a different week for me in terms of, well, I think this time last week, Wyverns were 7th out of 10th, which doesn't sound too bad, but it was essentially joint bottom because the guy who came bottom didn't win a single game. So we'll class him as null and void. Yeah. He wasn't even part of the season. My second club though did win the league by 3 points, which is absolutely over the moon about, because that's their second season and their second trophy. We won the cup last year and then we won the Stone League this year, which was really good. I was sort of one of the top 3 or 4 sides in that league. So it's almost sort of, I had a good chance going into it. There was one possibility where I lost to a really fatigued side, which annoyed me. And then the team below me played the fatigue side and won like 9-0. And I was like, oh, I've got good goal difference. And they won 9-0. And I went, hang on, this could really throw this in the water here. But I managed to not lose my last game, which was good. So we did get some... a little bit of a trophy, but I've been a little bit of... But unlike you, I've not really done too much forward thinking because I just like the chaos of trying to scramble for players on the last day and then ultimately complain when I've not got the players I wanted. But yeah, yourself, Palmer, obviously you weren't involved in the seasons this season, but have you been scouting any players for the sort of the upcoming season of the transfer window opening tomorrow? Have we been purchasing any players, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. I've picked up two sets of teams really. I've got two squads, both with 22 players in each, and it's difficult to know who to sign. I kind of just went out a bit gung-ho, bit eager. But it's how do I know if this player is actually going to be good in game? How to get supporting players, and figuring out what tactics going to work. So trying to run, friendly games with kind of 58 rated players, in order for me to then go and buy a 68 rated player with completely different stats is interesting. So yeah, there's been a few players come back from the end of season over the past couple of days, that I've been able to throw in games and play kind of inter squad friendlies and stuff. So it's been interesting, mixing around with tactics and just trying to figure out what actual in-game MFL is about really.
Awesome. Yeah, and obviously we'll hear far more about that later on when we dive into it. Calvin, did you want to say anything then?
No, this is already the let's say in between the seasons, right, for testing and for new users. I think it's really great that you test, play around with that. Also good to know, because I've seen with contracts that people keep signing my stone, I call them my stone players, let's say below 60 my comments. People keep signing them. It's good to know that when this releases in one day, most of those contracts will be kind of released, or there will be a huge market again to sign even better players. So it's good to maybe not sign them and then they will renew suddenly. So I would advise also new users maybe hold off 2 days and then wait. And then tomorrow there will be loads of auto accept much better players that can really boost your squad. So it's good that's what I saw in my own agency. So
yeah,
little side note there.
Yeah, but bookmark your favourite players that you've scouted, and then tomorrow when transfer window, then you go high and you've got to be the first person in there, give a decent percentage, and then pray to God that manager decides to give him to you. But over to you, Calvin. It's dev update time, my friend.
Yeah, dev update, exactly. So let's dive into that. So of course we've seen. Well, one of the big news, there's been a lot of big news lately, but MFL Coin, big announcement, of course. That transition has now been complete, so all the points have been converted to MFL Coin. So you can see that in your HQ and also in the store, of course, you can see how much everything will cost, so you kind of know where you can spend it on, what to spend it on, etc. Also, the team has spent some time on developing this new trading tool. So probably when this episode comes out, the deadline has already passed, but you could trade some players, let's say kind of burning some of your maybe common players for extra points, which you can later spend in the store. So they work together with Evaluate to integrate this into the website, which looked very good user experience overall. So great job on that. Regarding the engine, Quantum worked on the red card patch. That red card should have a bigger impact and that should be deployed soon. About that MFL store, the team has implemented some fixes, let's say that you can now buy things with multiple currencies, being USD, of course, and MFL coin. So you can now buy players and packs later with the new drop in both USD and also your MFL coin. So that's great. Player progression, some minor adjustments, and it will be fully integrated in the backend. They're working on that, and good progress has been made. Then, very exciting, another language has been added, so you can use the app now in Spanish, in French, and Italian. The Italian translation is ready, has been released, and a big shout out to Fra Gioco, who helped the team with translating. The back office, so something the team uses to set up competition, etc., has also been improved, so it's much easier for next season to set up competitions, so mostly automated, some contract things and some decisions, etc. And a minor fix, also important about auto renewal, it's now always disabled if you buy a new player. So that's great. I bought a new guy, and it's the first thing you need to do is check the contract, and might take a time if you're a load of players. But now it's always disabled, so that's great. And of course, well, it's not a dev update, but the big announcements are also that there's 2 more drops coming on May the 14th and May 21st. 2 new drops, and of course the season 0.6 timeline has been released. So maybe we should talk about that briefly now. Maybe start with Jimbo. What are your thoughts on all of those big announcements in the past week?
Yeah, obviously the season 0.6 tentative timeline. Good to always get that sort of bright and early, so we can start doing our planning and also just see what the schedule's going to look like the beginning and the end of seasons and sign-ups and things like that. Obviously, like you said, 2 new pack drops coming along, which is, I'm sure people like Palmer here are sort of, licking their lips at, because they've had to purchase players maybe, or trade a few, or, to acquire players. But now you can enjoy the dopamine and excitement of actually opening some packs and getting some players, which is when you hear the music. For those of you who haven't opened packs yet, the music you hear in the intro to the podcast is also, I guess it's a bit of a spoiler really, is also the one for the packs as well. I'm not sure I should have said that. I think the outro is also the club pack music, because they kindly let us use it. But for the dev update, I think the big one is, I know it's only available for small amount of time, which is that burning mechanism, but it's the integration of that evaluate trading tool for this purpose. So I think they were saying, it's evaluate SDK, which is what is software development kit, I think that stands for. I'm not programmer minded, I just know what that acronym stands for. But it could that lead to, in the future, each user having their own tab on their profile which says you can just directly trade with them through evaluate? Because at the moment, if you want to trade a player, and to someone who's new to MFL or new to the whole, logging into different websites with the same account sort of setup, can be a little bit confusing. So maybe having one thing in one place, trying to get everything in one place, one location, is really great. So I'm looking forward to, hopefully in the future, maybe a couple months time, active trading, which is great. But yeah, that's my two pennies worth for dev updates.
A good point you make about this trading tool. Yeah, like if you can do it all in the app, right? I think the thing we all want is that everything is possible in the app. We talked about messaging before, maybe trading in the app. We can already buy players, luckily, in the app. So yeah, that's great to have that all in there. And of course, exciting news, about those drops. So maybe, Palmer, are you excited for those drops? Are you gonna buy a little pack? And which pack maybe are you thinking about?
Yeah, I think a lot of the players are obviously sharing their points total, and without commas, they're million trillionaires. I've no clue. But so for me, I think I'm in 2 minds with the packs. Like I say, I've had the past couple of weeks of building in the end of the season and the off season, and do I roll the dice and try and better what I've got, or do I run the season and see how I get on? So I probably will buy packs, but I want to be optimistic in my mindset that maybe I won't. But the reality is I probably will dive in, and I think as well what Jimbo said at the end with evaluate's a great thing. When I joined MFL, I had no idea about these external kind of third party websites, and it was only till somebody said, "Oh, we can do a trade on Evaluate," and I'm thinking, well, what's Evaluate? I'm having a private message in Discord, and it's that kind of wariness of, is me going onto this third party site to send somebody a player, is that normal? So the fact that MFL itself have integrated Evaluate, I think anybody who's joined within the past few days will now be able to go over to that site, explore it, feel comfortable, feel safe, and it's a new pathway for kind of players to buy and trade players. So I think for me, out that recent post of the dev update, that's definitely what I felt would probably benefit a lot of people, is actually being shown in a trustworthy way these other sites, really.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's really, really great development. And as you said, like, you found out quickly, there is these other things and other platforms and other exchanges, and it's great that you mentioned that. So also for new users already great. Okay, season update. So we had on Monday and Tuesday a couple of matches still, and also some exciting league finishes. So we had the two platinum leagues. We talked about it with Sturgeonator last week. Luckily for him, his team, we did not curse his team because Joga Bonito, I should say. They did win the title in League One, Plat League One, so that's great. And Brandon won also a very tight title race, Plat League 2 with North London Nova. So two really, nice finishes to the competition. Sturge even won on goal difference, so that was a very tight race. The Titans Cup, Jimbo, that was also quite an interesting.
Yeah, so we had the prediction. I think my prediction of a Londinium versus Ballers final, or BFC Barcelona, that happened, and we had our final. But I think what we thought was going to happen, which may have been a BFC Barcelona win, ended up being a Londinium. A Londinium, was it 1-0? I think it was 1-0 win. A Londinium 1-0 win, which I think that's a really, for Eric and Londinium's a really great result, because he had probably in his mind a disappointing season, a disappointing league performance. But on the other hand, I think Ballers and the BFC Barcelona were disappointed they didn't come away with that extra lot of points and the trophy there, because they were close in the league, and obviously they won the league last year, so they're probably a little bit disappointed. But it was good to see sort of a very competitive final, not whitewashed. Not that I thought it would be, but it's good to see. Well, probably was the underdog take away a little win there.
Yeah, no, I think it's really nice for him. For like a bit, the season was disappointing, right, for Londinium, for Eric, and then to come away with this big prize, that's really nice for him. Of course, for Ballers, no prize after last season's Diamond League win. That's a little bit disappointing, but good to see that competitiveness. Palmer, did you already check out Diamond Leagues and Plat as like the big boys? Is it something you might want to follow in the future, or you focus on your own teams more?
Yeah, no, I think I've not really looked through the leagues. The only thing I have done is kind of gone through the Stone division when I've been playing friendlies and trying to figure out what my competition's going to be. That's come back to me in a few years maybe.
Yeah. Although Stone is really all over the place, right? Sometimes you have like someone with loads of rare players. Sometimes it's low common. It can be all over. But yeah, fair enough. I mean, for you, that seems like, it's like promoting from the National League to the Prem, right? It's very, it seems impossible right now, but
yeah, I'm not on a Wrexham journey. I've not got the high hopes and the fame just yet.
Exactly. But yeah, we try to kind of build it up like it's the Prem, like people could support teams. We don't have any fan clubs yet of any of the teams, but although Ballers FC is getting close with their DAO, so they have kind of a community.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's for me, let's say for us, Jimbo, right? It's fun to build up the hype a little bit, and that new users also maybe start following one team or support one team. That would be the dream.
Definitely, yeah.
Marketplace. It's time for that.
Here you go again, mate. You got your lungs ready to list off all these names.
Warm up again because I have loads of shout outs to do, loads of names. And also some kind of funny, interesting ones. So stay tuned for the new managers and the active managers. I did my research, so here we go. New managers, I've counted 16 new ones. Although I can make some mistakes here, but there we go. So Catalanic, Hoodwink, MFC, Glisgot, Fredrin, who already bought. This is interesting. He bought a bronze club as his first purchase, so he's ambitious. TNG, Rebrok, Pepito, Sekte, Jasko, Mila Kunis, not the actress, but that's the name.
Well, okay. We thought it'd be Griezmann would be the first celeb. We've actually got Mila Kunis, you know? Who would have thought
Maybe
that?
it's actual Mila Kunis, which is in MFL. Will be interesting.
Burner account.
Ando Laska, Apo Gons, Brojack, Senor Cortes, and Miguel Maku 23. And now we go to the most interesting, I would say, new user of the week is Bosco, but not the Bosco we know, but Bosco with Boosko.
It's like Busco.
Busco. But it's quite a coincidence because he picked a Ukrainian team.
This is suspicious. I think.
So it was like I wanted to post this Spider-Man, meme with them pointing at each other, like Busco and Bosco, both having Ukrainian teams. But yeah, great new user because he also bought loads of guys already, so he's been very active. Okay, about active managers, we've seen also a lot of market activity. Make think we have to talk about him. He was a guest recently on the pod, and he got now a new gold club.
Going ham again, isn't he? He's just
2
going
more
for
stone
it.
clubs.
He's just going
So
for it.
I think he's now a record holder amount of clubs, maybe more than 20 already even. Farouk got a new silver club. Lionel San, also new user, pretty new. Got also a silver club. Poliazo, Freixer, new iron. Niako, new bronze club. So also a lot of new users getting higher tier clubs, silver, bronze, iron, etc. It's great to see. Then some other new users who've been very active. Alex, Floes, Lev, Pikes, Coach Dave, Scofflert, Big T, XX Joe. Some guys I shouted out like a couple weeks ago are now buying loads of guys. Something Bowling, Black MFC, I saw him buying 81 rare, 21-year-old for $400, so also a big rare splash there. La Rue or Gusto 21, loads of players. Dio has been loading up 17 and 18-year-old rares and uncommons, so that's his new thing, I guess. Medellin Marauders, load of Colombian rares, building this Colombian team. And Fra Joko, Tingus, Pingus, and Kinshu, guys who normally don't buy legendaries, they all bought a legendary for about 600 USD. So big mini splashes, I would say. But the big splash, super big splash, Jimbo is gonna announce. But before that, I think, Jimbo, we need to talk about 2 really interesting trades, massive trades. Maybe you can also talk about those.
Yeah, so we've got 2, I guess, probably 2 massive trades happen this week, and there's a bit of a common theme in both of them, that they both involve Fantasy Gaffer. I think last week, however, you mentioned that Fantasy Gaffer, or you leaked, in fact, that Fantasy Gaffer.
Intel was wrong.
Yeah, Intel was wrong. The direction was right, but the destination was wrong. So Fantasy Gaffer has picked up Unity's Meta Prime Diamond Club. I'm not sure if this is this just like a loan? I'm not sure. Is it just fully taking over? I don't know the ins and outs.
I think it's a loan.
Yeah. Yes. So basically, what it looks like, we got a 9th club because Unity wasn't playing last year. Ortier has also been pretty active in the Discord last week, so I'm hoping that he comes back into the frame again, and we might have a 10 league or 10 club Diamond League, which would be great. So we've got Fantasy grabbing Unity's Diamond Club, but we've also another big trade between Profound Soda and Fantasy Gaffer, which saw Profound Soda grabbing a 91 rated legendary, and what went Fantasy Gaffer's way was his Platinum Club. So in the last week, Fantasy's come away with a Diamond and a Plat side. He's going to be managing for season 0.6, which I think is huge. And I know he's absolutely, eager to get ready and show what he's made of in the top 2 divisions within MFL. So I think a lot of us maybe saw some of these moves coming. Not sure which club it was going to be, but I'm chuffed for Gaffer to perform on a high level, and also brings an extra sort of personality into the Diamond frame, who we can chat about, and his name will be mentioned more on the Diamond League in the future.
No, it's really cool to see that this Unity's team will be participating in Diamond plus Orche, what you said, 10 Diamond clubs, so it will be much more interesting. And really cool to see very interesting to see what fantasy will do as a manager. He's very into football and managing, and very passionate. Also, you heard it on our episodes when he was a guest. He's really passionate. So really curious to see where this takes us. But of course, we had one other manager who's getting ready for Diamond.
So another person who's been getting very much ready, and leads us quite nicely into Splash of the Week. Didn't hit any low notes this time. It was quite nicely high pitched, which I'm not sure is quite something I want to admit. But Joe Bettman dropped $1,900 this week on a 91 rated player from Japan by the name of Toshimitsu Nakamura. Which,
wow, no, nice one, Jim.
Yeah, I know. I think that was quite easy because it rolls off. Yeah. You can sort of you read it and you know how it's going to flow. But also, Palmer might agree here. But when you've got people like Nakamura who play for Celtic, and you've always heard that sort of name banging around over the last couple of decades, and Celtic's quite infamous for taking hold of Japanese players. So, I feel like maybe if I was a Celtic fan, I would have properly nailed that one, but I feel like I did anyway. But yeah, 91 rated, centre mid, CDM as well. Just an unbelievable stats on him. So that was $1,900. Joe B purchased him from Eric. But also, what you said, you mentioned earlier, Calvert, some other people buying legendary players. If my table filtering skills are correct, we've had 9 legendaries bought in the last 7 days, which is more than one a day. If I can do that maths. But we've had multiple more traded as well. So I think this week's been a very hot week for splashes. Yeah.
I'm curious, Palmer, as a new user, and you see those kind of amounts, those like 1900 USD. For a virtual, let's say, it's like you're like, this is like just a virtual guy, and someone is paying 1900 USD for that. So, what do you think of that? Let's say.
Yeah, where do you start? I suppose it's one of those where I have, like you say, you see those cards pop up in the Discord, and you click on the page, or you see who owns them, and yeah, some of the teams up there, 90 rated, every single player. And I know, Calvin, you did one of those videos the other day I saw on, and you kind of showed, some of the 85 rateds, and that's $400 a pop just to, you need 18 of those to even kind of compete. So yeah, the splash of the week is definitely eye-watering, shall we say. And I'm glad it's their bank account and not mine.
Unless you're the person who's selling it.
Of course. I mean, you've got to buy it in the first place, I suppose.
Yeah, you've got to have made some purchase in the first place. Yeah, you're very much right.
So this is the dream of pack drops. Like, you can get this upgrade, right? Even in a standard pack, you can get this Lego upgrade, and then some people have it even in starter packs, right?
There's a couple of weeks ago, there was 2 starters two people had legendaries, and I was like, you are so lucky. Like, where's this luck? But hey-ho.
Yeah, and then if you sell that guy, you have such a nice budget for your stone, iron, bronze. So it's like a real nice surprise. Okay, let's move on to how Dirk. Well, Dirk has been enjoying his holiday. We can guess where did he go, you think?
I should have really asked Ronan really where he sends the team off to on their holidays. Obviously won the league, so I imagine it's going to be somewhere pretty nice. But yeah, I don't know where really. Well, obviously, where's Better Mercenaries based? Actually, I probably should know this. Where's their club based?
Where are they based?
This is really poor knowledge, considering we had a quiz last week from Sturge. I think it really highlighted that if you think you know a lot about diamonds, you don't know a lot about diamonds. Whereabouts are they from, Calva?
Munich.
Munich. Okay. So somewhere hot. I reckon they maybe just flew to like Barbados, somewhere like that. Really completely different. But he is Dutch though, Dirk. So I reckon he burns quite easily.
Definitely. He's also a bit like ginger. Well, no, more brown hair, not like ginger.
Yeah. He just wears the ginger shirt. It's an orange shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's on holiday somewhere. We don't know where. Maybe next week's intel, I'll be able to gather that. But
we'll give you a report next week.
We'll give you a report on Dirk. Yes. The last part of the weekly updates is the WenDirk, and we always, Palmer, do our top 3. In this case, we all agree that it's chocolate bar, not candy bar, because we're all from Europe here. We do our top 3 chocolate bar. Are you versed in how this ranking works, or would you like me to go over the rules again?
Go over the rules again. Just.
So we have a guest ever rolling top 3 chocolate bars, and basically we have a top 3 list, and I'm going to list them off to you, and you basically get to replace any of those positions with your favorite chocolate bar. So in number 3 we have Snickers. In number 2 we have Twix Peanut. And in number 1, which was added by Sturge last week, he replaced Butterfingers, which you and I, Palmer, probably have no idea what that is because we don't have it over here, and maybe the same with you, Calver. He replaced it with a Crunchy, which obviously we know what a Crunchy is, which I thought was decent. Maybe not at the top, but it's better than somewhere. So you've got Crunchy at 1, Twix Peanut, or Snickers. Which one would you like to swap out and put your own favourite chocolate bar in there?
For me, Snickers has to go. Priority number 1.
I think that's been an ever-present since the start. We've had about 10 people do this. Snickers has always remained there, so that's going to rustle a few Jimmies in the community, I think.
I can respect a Crunchy. A Crunchy, I'd say, is underrated. It always performs, but it's never first pick. The Twix Peanut, again, I'm not a fan of nuts, but I can roll with the Twix, but no, Snickers is. Okay. I suppose when you get the box of celebrations, the Snickers, the Bounties.
Oh, really? Okay, I quite like a Snickers. This is interesting.
For me, I would say probably my go-to is a Cadbury's Marvellous Creations. I don't know if you.
I only heard this Marvellous Creations. What word or whatever for the first time today in my life. I was at a like those brownie stores, do all the homemade stuff, and they had like a Marvellous Creations, Rocky Road, and I was like, what the hell is Marvellous Creations? Never heard it in 26 years, just casually out of my age as well there, but and then suddenly twice in 3 hours, I've now heard Marvellous Creations. I
mean, that's somebody somewhere trying to tell you something. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, maybe Cadbury's Marvellous Creations. So what's involved in here?
Popping candy, jelly, and they're the big bars. Not a little. We're talking a proper.
Not a meal deal sort of bar. Like you go out there if you eat it all in one go, it's like a 600 calorie sort of piece. Yeah.
I mean, I've never had to go back to it later on. So yeah, that. I mean, for me, it'd be number 1, but yeah, the Snickers has to go. Unfortunately,
that's a really interesting shout. Yeah, because I think because it's probably a chocolate bar that I don't know if across the pond in America they don't have that. So this could be now we've got a little bit of the English chocolate coming into the frame. We're fighting for our land a bit more, even though they insert Boston event of centuries ago.
I'm a stone's throw from Bourneville and Cadbury's, so I
was going to ask that. Yeah,
I'll take it back to my roots.
So you can almost, you can smell it being created. Just it has a bit like Guinness when they say if you don't. Guinness always tastes better in Dublin. It's almost like, well, is it for you? It's the Cadbury's always tastes better because you're, it's not got that far to travel to get to, basically.
I'll agree with you, but
yeah, you see the premise I'm getting at. So we've got a new number 3, which is Cadbury's Marvellous Creations, and so thank you for that. And then finally, because Calvinate is a massive vegetable connoisseur, do you have a favourite vegetable? And I want this to be the next word that comes out of your mouth has to be the vegetable.
Potato.
Potato.
Probably going to say that's not counts, but
it counts.
Okay, it counts. I say it counts.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a favourite like brand or like what do you call it? Species of potato.
Just potato.
jacket potato, baked potato, new potato, dough from wild potato, just
potato.
Can't go wrong.
Sweet. Calvo, your thoughts on
Fair
potatoes?
Actually, I'm not the biggest fan of cooked potatoes, I would say, but
Not even
enough,
a goose fat roasty on Christmas.
Oh,
That's
now you're talking.
that's erotic language.
okay.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going very
Gravy on that.
slang, British slang, British references.
You're outnumbered here. Yeah.
But okay, great. Yeah, I'm very curious to see the reactions to the new top 3 in general. But let's move on to the main segment, so our main topic. So it's called Joining MFL featuring Palmer, because you joined 12 days ago, right? So we're very curious to hear, what's that been like? Did you struggle with some things? Were some things confusing? What were your first impressions, etc.? So let's dive into that. So first of all, what attracted you to MFL? Why did you decide to join? Like, say, what's appealing?
Yeah, I mean, like I touched on a minute ago, it was one of your videos, the comparison between that and FM. You know, I was working, I had YouTube on in the background, and I started hearing this character talking about MFL, and I was like,
I told you, he's not real. He's not real. Calvo's not a real person. He said a character. He's not real. He's not real.
I'm thinking, this is, what am I listening to? So yeah, I kind of turned it up, paid attention to it, and it was something I've never come across before. You know, you often see these new games, and all they are, it's a game from 10 years ago with a new main character or something like that. So it kind of, I wouldn't say it initially appealed to me, but it certainly was, struck me in terms of curiosity. And, you had a link down below, so I clicked onto it, and it looked professional. It had the works, and I was able to navigate through, and I was jumping on the marketplace, and I was, there was an activity tab, and I could see, people are signing people, and $30 here and $70 here and $2 here, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? And like I said, there was a link to the Discord, and that's what started it for me. I joined the Discord. I actually joined the Discord and thought there's two pages. There was a welcome and there was a news or something. I was like, well, this is a crap Discord. 10 minutes later, 10 minutes later, I open it back up to think there's no messages, and I was like, oh, I've not actually verified myself to join the Discord. So anyway, I jumped back in, and like I say, I saw lots of people chatting and questions getting asked and replies getting fired back. And for me, I think I put something into the chat. I can't remember off the top of my head, and looked into it, and is it $79.99 in terms of dollars for a club?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. Right.
Which obviously for me, English, it's about 60 quid, and games nowadays you're talking 75 quid a pop, for Call of Duty, FIFA, whatever. So it's cheaper than that. So I thought, okay, right, I'll have a little dabble. Downloaded the club and just kind of rolled from there, really.
How so? What I'm really interested about is being a fellow Englishman, and I think maybe we've got a question here about like the whole NFT aspect to the game, right? For I've got the impression that people in England are quite risk off when it comes to any sort of investing or any sort of, but especially in the NFT environment and ecosystem. You hear the word NFT, you say that in England, everyone goes like, cool, you're a bit of a loser, or there's a stereotype behind those people. And I'm interested to know, do you also think in that same way? And also did you just see it as a game that you have to invest a bit of money into, or did the NFT piece sort of strike you straight in the face, or was that a consideration or concern for you when getting into MFL?
No, I mean, for me, I've, never touched NFTs or crypto or, any of that before. I think what you said about, seeing NFTs and thinking, what's that? That definitely rings true. I remember seeing it on Twitter, all these NFTs and people spending thousands and tens of thousands. And, I remember there was a video of, some kind of guy in Asia, and he did this big wedding proposal and spent all this on an NFT, saying, "Will you marry me?" And it was, it was crazy a couple of years ago, and then you see people like, Logan Paul and all these big, internet celebrities losing millions. And for me, I've never seen the appeal. It's valued based on what the next person tells you it's valued.
It's
if you have
speculative sort of thing, isn't it?
of course, yeah. If you have something, it's worth nothing until I say I'll give you this.
Yeah.
And very much for me, I've never seen the appeal. I think for me, the difference in this is I don't see it as an NFT and such. I see it as, that it's that player.
Yeah.
Very much so. You sign that player, you can use that player. It has a use. It has a practical use.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting into this to go, oh, I'm going to invest and, this NFT is going to be triple what I put in. It's almost just, no, I want to play the game, sign in a player, going to use him. If I need to, I can sell him, and I can roll with that, really.
I think it's, what you were saying about, we listen, I guess, probably music to Calver's ears when you said the line, it's just buying a club is just the same as buying FIFA or buying Football Manager, because that's the line that Calver and other people have used for, like I say, weeks if not months. So to hear that come from yourself, Calver probably is like giving you a pat on the back, like, I've raised you well, sort of thing, since you've watched the video. But it's really great to see that you don't, from your point of view anyway, you weren't off put by this whole NFT aspect to MFL because of maybe the historical element of NFTs. And like you said, that there's utility behind it. You could do something with them and you can play a game with them where it's not just a profile picture, which, like you said, if you want to buy it for $1,000, that's the value it gets. But if someone wants to buy it for £2.50, that's probably the value it has as well. So, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
It's really interesting because the most guests we have, they enter from another NFT project or in the space, like an NBA Top Shot or like some other related things, and you're just totally no crypto NFT and then just playing the game. And I think also for the MFL team, like Matt, it's really music to his ears also, because he wants to like make the project like this, like that people see it like this. It's like a game and you just buy players to play with your club, and you buy a club because you like to compete. Yeah, so I think that's great that you approach in this way and you see it in this way, and you're not like spooked by, oh no, it's NFT or things like.
Yeah, I think for me, say if I gave you a set of keys and said they're £1,000, you'd say, well, I think they're a £5. Whereas in this case, I'm saying here's a set of keys, and here you can operate this car. It's £1,000, and you can say, right, okay, I can see the value in its use and its operation within MFL. Therefore, it gains value. And I mean, since I joined the space, like you touched, Jimbo, 12 days ago, I've already noticed that some of the players that I've picked up have probably gone up in value. Start of the new season, people want to upgrade their team, and it's not just throwing money for the sake of it. You're building something. In trying to pick up some players, at times I've said, oh, I'll offer it this price, and somebody's turned around and said, well, actually, they've just won the Golden Boot. They're 18 years old. They've just won the Golden Boot. They're valued more. Okay, I respect that. Because it's got use, and it's not just I'll give you this, and somebody has to say, okay, go on then. That you can hold on to it for long term practical use, and you may never have to sell it. You might just want to invest, play the game, move on. So yeah, I'm definitely in that category of that. And another thing, sorry, I want to touch on is I think it was in the podcast somebody said, the money that you put into the game, I think you have to see it as you're never going to get it back out.
Yeah, that was last week. It was Sturge, I think, last week. Yeah,
last week.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if it was in the chat or, but yeah, I think if you go and put money in expecting to get 3% ROI, you're in it for the wrong reasons at this stage of the game. Come a few seasons down the line when there's aging and there's promotion and relegation, potentially that might be a spin of interest. But I think this early on in the actual game, that I've had to get into it with the mindset of it is a game, go and have some fun and see what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point and a great way of looking at it. I think we're glad that you've got that view on things as well. And I guess it's also worth pointing out that obviously MFL is a football game, and we've not mentioned. Obviously, you
Financial
are
advice?
a football. No, that Palmer, you are a football fan. It's probably worth highlighting that to the community. You also have got your team's shirt on, and we've not mentioned who you support because you do have a football background. Which club shirt have you got on right now, and who do you support?
Yeah, I am for my sins a Liverpool fan. Got my DH Gate special retro Liverpool shirt.
DH
Shout
Gate,
out
love
to
it.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, it is my Discord profile is I set it up a couple of years ago now. Divock Origi with Vincent McMahon bursting into the scene, So I think I did that after Trent's corner into Divock Origi.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am a Liverpool fan. Like I say, I have heard on some podcasts as well. I think it might have been Sturgeon again. Most recent in my mind. He got into it through, I think his daughter's playing college football and he didn't really have a grasp of the game and he's using it to learn. Whereas I'm coming in, I'm looking at the player stats and, I want a centre half that's left footed and right footed. And I want,
you try and compare players in the game to like players in real life. You're like, like for me as a Norwich fan, I'm like, I want to have a player who's a bit like Timo Pukki or Abe Wendir. You try and relate players to that. So, great.
I think it was Make Think, by the way. He said it.
Oh, was it Make Think? Was it?
Yeah. But
shows you listen, though. Shows you listen. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, but that's interesting. Yeah, that's more football. You're really into football. You grew up with football, Liverpool fan, and then this also attracts you as a football fan. Well, other people come in through the NFT route and they explore football from there. So that's great. There are multiple routes to start playing MFL. So as a new user, I'm also really curious, how confusing was it to get started, or was it pretty, was it a steep learning curve? Was it can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, I suppose it's just like anything, it's going to be different. It's going to be confusing. I'm very much a baptism of fire. Don't want to read the rules, just want to get stuck in, I'm a Brit. That's how we build IKEA furniture. So, for me, coming in mid-season, not being able to play many games was difficult to try and learn the game. One thing I find very interesting is like I say, that the people in the Discord, and massive shout out to a user, Filibuster, it is, I think, on Discord.
Yeah, Philly,
When I started, they'd kind of sent me a few links to, there was the Play MFL info site where you can see different player positions. He gave me the breakdown and, just didn't need to, absolutely didn't need to do that. And people just wanting to help. And I think that's been a massive benefit for me. And since being in the Discord for a couple of weeks, I saw the questions I came in asking. New people are coming in asking it, and there's still that same enthusiasm in giving a good reply. It's not, oh, for God's sake, this question again. People are there to assist people. So for me, it's been difficult and easy. It's been difficult, but it's been made easy by the community, I would say. And my I think he's Italian, my assistant manager, with beautiful long hair, also pops up and tells me what I need to know. So that's been a good help as well.
Yeah. They added that feature and also the help button and the help center.
Yeah.
So I think the MFL team also loves to hear that you like your assistant manager with his beautiful hair. It's really really nice to hear that. And glad that was a bit hard, but the community makes it easy for you. So as a new user, what are you most excited about? Let's say, so now you're going to join season 0.6, that's going to start, new features will be released. What are you most excited about?
I think just getting stuck in. I've not played technically a competitive game yet. So I'm looking for a couple of days' time, get all my players back, get my players in that I've signed, run them through a few friendlies, see what works. Probably going to hit game one and lose, and then have to redo it all. But yeah, just for me, I'm just looking forward to getting in and getting the game going. Really, I've seen quite a lot of the dev updates and changes, and obviously for me, being so early on, it doesn't really matter. I haven't seen the progression. So the game engine is brand new. It's going to be brand new, and yeah, just crack on really.
Yeah, I think you probably were one of, I think in the dev updates or when Matt announced the pack drops happening, he said that since beginning of March, there's been 300 new users at least have joined MFL. So obviously, probably a majority of them are in the same position as you, where they've joined mid-season. So I think you saying you're absolutely raring to go. You just want to be amongst it and actually play competitive games, and that's what you're excited about because you've not experienced that yet. You are one of probably what's going to be a couple hundred people who are exactly in the same boat, who just can't wait for season 0.6 to arrive and start, which I think is really exciting because this is probably, and Calv will likely agree, for this season, the biggest influx of new users coming into play their first season. So we're going to get, a social media, and we're going to get the Discord competitive chats going off at a level that probably we've not seen for a couple. We wouldn't see at all. So it's great to it's great to hear that you're super excited for it, like we always are. But obviously you're mega excited because it's going to be your first one.
Well, actually, speaking about competitive matches, there is like one little tournament that is not totally official.
Oh yeah,
right?
Of course.
We didn't mention this yet. Fantasy Gaffer also being very active there. The Copa del Discord. Did you sign your club up? Like, did you tell him?
I'm already signed up for that.
Good man.
That might be my first taste of getting absolutely obliterated. So I'm looking forward.
Yeah, I think.
Nice.
Are you signed up, Calver?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm signed up as well. He messaged me in the Saturday morning and was like, "Yo, Jimbo, are you in this?" I was like, "I am now, but I've been asleep since you announced it, so I didn't have a chance to." But thank you for letting me know. No, it's great to see he's doing it again because it must be over a year since the last one, and he does an unbelievable job in organising and adminning that whole piece. I'm kind of surprised that. I would have suggested, could he have gone to MFL and asked for that? Could he have asked them to create something like that? That could have been really cool. But I think the fact he's doing it in general, and some of the prizes that have also been donated, I believe,
It's very nice.
Dio,
some rares.
Some like players. Picked. I think was it Dio or Sturge just picked up a player for like $70. Went, yeah, go on, just chuck it in. It's great. Last year we had a prize for the worst team, which was great. I believe last year's or the first Copa del Discord was won by Bosco, I believe, wasn't it? So it's a really great one. Obviously not going to be your first official competitive, but it's going to be almost like a little pre-season, really. And because it's capped as well, you're not going to get matched up against meta mercenaries where they're just going to score 10 in the first 10 minutes.
But it's capped at 800, right?
800,
so
yeah.
It's not total destruction.
No, it's not total destruction, no.
Probably.
Yeah.
But it's a bit nostalgic, yeah, because this Copa del Discord was a tournament with, I think, before the real competitions. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah.
Yeah, so, but now, of course, we have real competitions, but we still run it like kind of the old days. It's a bit of a blast from the past in that sense.
It's like it's led by one person, but it's a proper community tournament because everyone contributes prizes. Everyone, I think last time you have to chat with the person you're playing against, arrange a time where one of you will sim the match, and then whoever's like the home team will put in like in that spreadsheet the score, the goal scorers, so they can tally all that up. It's a quite an old school way of doing it, but it's really great because when it's really successful like the last one, it shows the power of a community coming together. And the community now is probably, I'd say probably doubled in terms of active users since then. So it's gonna. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'll always help out with. We'll ask Gaffer with what we can do, and if we need to announce anything on here, we can do all that. But yeah, glad to hear that all three of us are going to be firing on all cylinders. Hopefully, anyway, for the tournament.
To be continued.
TBC.
There. Yeah. So. Of course, you just, Palmer, you just said, like, you just want to get stuck in, get started. I wrote a question down, like, about your priorities and goals. Maybe that's a bit of I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think your biggest goal is just get started. And
not lose every game.
You, right? Just find out how it works, what it will be like, and then from there, you can make your next step.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jimbo said don't lose every game, but that might be a new tactic actually in this Copa del Discord if there's a prize for worst loser. I might go for a 3-back and try and lose a 10-0 every game and see if I can pick up a prize.
Maybe. We'll have to see. Although forfeits are also, that might be interesting with this cup. Okay. Yeah, so we know kind of your priority goals. So what would you advise people if they would like to join? Maybe you will talk to your friends about it, or maybe you will refer some people. You also have your link now, right? Everyone has a link, so maybe you also spread the news in your community. So what would you advise them?
I think for me it's just, you know, which sounds daft, but you know, probably the first thing is to try and join that Discord, and you know, maybe it might be on there that I'm just not aware of. You know, I suppose if somebody stumbles across MFL, is there there is a link to join the Discord. You know, I've just had a quick look, and I think it is get involved, ask questions, see what the people are doing, and kind of go from there, because I didn't know what it was, didn't know what to expect. You know, I didn't know what team I needed to build for Stone. You know, what is the average rating team? You know, what is the average rating player? There's so many questions and so many unknowns, and you know, how much money do I need to put in? How much how much percentage do I need to give away to get a lone player in? You know, there's too many questions, I think. So for me, the most beneficial thing I came with was just joining the Discord, reaching out to people, you know, putting messages in the chat, and just kind of going from there, really, because nobody has all the answers. You know, look, I mean, we saw that on your guys' podcast the other week. You know, nobody has all the answers to every question.
Oh, that's a bit of a backwards, passive aggressive insult. I think that's a bit
or it's a compliment to Calvinate. You know, whichever one you want to look
Who was the better loser, the worst, the best? Oh God, yeah, God, I can't think of that.
I was going to say, is that what the TV program Biggest Loser is?
That's it, Biggest Loser. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think, like I say, nobody's going to have all the answers, and especially with the ever changes to the in-game play. You know, I remember I come in and kind of said to people, you know, what is the go-to formation? What's the go-to stat? What do I need to look for? You know, does height matter? Does this matter? And everybody's got different opinions. Everybody's got a different spin on things. Everybody's got a different take. So yeah, for me, just get involved, ask questions, listen, try things out, you know, jump on the scout market, pick up some players, run a few sims, run a few tactics. I did go through a spell of, you know, I found one team where it was fairly low rated, and I must have played them about 15 times in different formations with, you know, a high press, a low press, a mid block, and you know, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. So yeah, just give it a try, I suppose. And it's just like any other game. You know, you play on FIFA, you play on Football Manager, you're gonna go in, try things out. It's not going to work. You need to redo it. You need to drop a player, get a new player in, strengthen, bolster up, and yeah, for me, like I say, I look at this like a football game, and very much I've scouted on that basis. You know, from what I've learned and what I've been advised, really.
Great advice. Yeah, I think it's really, and also the game, you also said, like, it's still in development. It keeps developing, so of course it will be different each time, and yeah, some things are not sure yet, and people have their own take on it, their own view. So the best is keep asking, try for yourself, and eventually you figure it out, I think, or you get familiar. You feel like you know it, or you know a bit better. I mean, we still don't know, right, how the engine works, right? We keep talking about that too. Like,
and if someone does figure out the engine at this current stage, then they are 100% lying to you, because I don't think you can. You can have a slight advantage, but you can't figure it out. And obviously, it's going to change from time to time as well. So you've got that to consider. What might have been a 3-5-2 with, you know, compactness and attacking width might next season be like the worst formation, you know, going, and it's not, you're playing someone else as well. So, you know, there's also that to it. You're not playing like an AI or a robot or like a career mode where it's a bit, you can kind of predict it. You can't predict people for the most part. They're irrational, they're emotional, and they do some crazy things sometimes to win. But we have fun. That's the main thing. We're having fun. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I remember I looked at some of the, you know, the higher up teams, and when you see live matches, and it was, you know, the latter stages of the cups, and you know, there was 4-1-2-1-2s and 3 backs and 4 backs, and all, there was a vast array of formations. It wasn't the point where, I kind of drift away from FIFA at times, because it's just, this is the meta formation. You got to play high and you got to get it wide, and everybody's got the same, same players, same team, same, and it's just, oh my God, and to the point of, if you don't have this player, you can't compete. Whereas, you can go and get a very fast, fullback, their wingers can do nothing. All of a sudden you're going to dominate the game. And that's what I like about this, that every single game you play is going to be different. I've ran simulations of friendlies, and I've played the same team against different formations, and you get a spin of results just based on the man matchups really as well. And that's what excites me about the game, is that I know, over the course of the season, I'm not just going to be coming up against Mbappe's and Haalands and just going to be getting dominated because I haven't got Van Dijk in centre back. It doesn't matter about that, and for me that appeals massively. So yeah, I do look forward to trying to figure out what works and what doesn't.
There was a period of, like, I think it was when the engine first got released, for about it may have even been no longer than a week, because it got fixed straight away. But if you had pace up front when the engine first came out, this is when there's no competitive games, it was just friendlies. If you had a striker or a winger who was pacey as hell, he was just scoring like goals. I mean, goals and goals. It was basically like, if you don't have, it reminded me a bit like FIFA, 13, FIFA 14, or even FIFA 12 Ultimate Team, when you've not got Ibarra. If you've got a silver team, if you're not running like Gabby Bongal, or if like Darren Bent, like the proper S-Vine when he was at, what was it, all those different teams. If you weren't playing those meta players, Muriel, you said Barbo, I think it was Asamoah Jan, I think was one. He wasn't that pacey, but he was just, Biani and people like that. You've not got to go off, not got him. There's many elements and different methods and ways of playing. And it gives you the opportunity to play how you want to. You're not forced to play away. You're almost, I guess, when things like development or progression and things like that come out, you'll be incentivized to not play a rare in a lower division, because you can maximize your potential earnings of MFL coin now, which is not MFL points, MFL coin, which you want to maximize that if you can, because then that helps with maybe that loop of sustainability where your players do end up retiring in however many seasons' time. You've got the points or the coins to have that model that when they retire, you can bring in new players. And that's the ultimate goal. That's what I'm trying to achieve anyway. Try my hardest to be sustainable with it. We'll see if that happens or not. And I have to, get some American consortium to buy out my club. But I think, actually, this is slightly not off topic, but you mentioned earlier, Palmer, about like the ROI piece. And at the moment, with no promotion relegation, there's nothing to do with clubs being, I can say, like return with like club sales, but back, just thinking now of, there might be a piece around, if you can buy a club for cheap and then promote it with investment and then sell it for more, that you're seeing that quite often in England anyway with, I'm just going to hate to name this club because I hate them to bits, but Ipswich Town, is that they 2 years ago got half bought by an American group for like 20 million. They've now this season sold that for like 75 because of the back of their basic piggybacking what McKenna's done for them. But I think there's different ways you can play MFL, and that's what I like. You're not forced to play a meta. You play it how you want. As long as you're having fun, you're good. Ramble over from Jimbo.
Well, speaking about rambling, there's like, I planned a couple of segments, but maybe I'll let you choose, Palmer. So I thought maybe a quick Q&A round. Like you said, the community helps a lot with you have loads of questions. So maybe you can fire a couple of questions at us right now.
Are they questions that probably don't have answers? Kind of, again, these are kind of my own Dirk dilemmas, I suppose.
Go on, then. Combine the two then. Combine the two. Chuck them at us so you've got any questions. And
we can both share our opinion or our wisdom. Wisdom.
Potential wisdom, yeah.
Potential wisdom.
So first thing I was thinking about is, once progression kicks in and fatigue's kicked in and injuries kicked in, do you think that would be the death of loaning players out? Because if you were to loan a player out and somebody goes inactive and they play every single game, they're fatigued, they get injured, you're not going to progress that young player. And likewise, if you're going to loan somebody out and they're going to sit on the bench, not getting any minutes, not getting any progression, you're going to ruin that youngster. So may it lead to people just hoarding stone and iron clubs and wanting progression within? Or what do you think might happen?
Great one. Shall I kick off?
Yeah, kick off, Cal.
There's a couple of things. So, well, the second option you mentioned, that's kind of what Make Fink is trying to do, right? With the Scotland Farms. And he just bought loads of stone iron clubs and let all his guys play, so he fully controls that. But I think the beauty of this, when there is injuries and fatigue, and if your guys don't play, they don't progress, I think that will only make the game much better, because then you would also maybe can add clauses. Let's say like you can get 20% more, 30% more if they play. So that would be one option. But also you need to have much better contact with like the users you work together with. And then it will be really nice that you have a couple of guys, they respect your agreements. You're maybe maybe unwritten. Let's say you didn't really agree about it, or maybe you can have some smart contracts where you really have to meet some minimum amount of matches, minimum amount of things before you get rewards like that. So I think it will only make the game more interesting, because you need to have more contact. We can do bigger contracts, different contracts. And yeah, it will add way more flavor to the game. I think that's my view.
Flavor. Yeah, yes. I know. I completely agree. I think it will. Negotiations will have to change, basically. Like you said, if it's clauses, even if they are made official and there's a way to do it with an MFL and that gets made into a development, or if it's I've said to some people before when I've brought in a goalkeeper, I've said I won't start them, but I'll start them in every single cup game. Just so, obviously, I know progression is not a thing, but it's those sort of conversations you see in almost in real life with cup games, that they'll play their second squad to give them a bit of time and development. I think that negotiation piece is going to be key, because, and almost your own research on that club as well. You may find, for doing a bit of research on yourself, you have two rare players where when progression and all that piece gets enabled, and the incentive is to put them out in higher divisions, you might get 5 contracts in. You may pick the highest one, but actually, is the highest contract offer in the strongest team? Is it with a manager who's had a reputation of progressing players? Is it in a team that's going to perform well, that's going to affect your earnings, or is it going to be someone like you said who doesn't rest, wears out their knees, turns them into Suarez at his fine age, where his knees give way every single game basically, but because he plays in MLS, he's basically Maradona. I think that's something it's a really interesting point or topic to discuss. I think for many managers, it should be something that is worth considering and thinking about now, because even now, if I get an offer for someone, I'm researching the team and the manager, and you almost inherently get that reputation amongst managers. Oh, I can trust him. Oh, I can't trust him. It's going back to summing it all up, the flavors that Calvin put it. I think negotiations and communications between users is going to be what makes or breaks those sort of situations.
No, I mean, like I say, I made my own notes on that question. I came up with the same thing. Is could it be that there's a clause where there's a forced recall if they've not played in X amount of matches, or going back to Football Manager, if a player in Football Manager gets an injury for 2-3 months, the parent club can say, right, we're recalling them to treat them at the club, So that was in my thought. Would it mean that kind of loan contracts would get more complex? But then also my worry was, could it be an issue for newer members coming on and kind of that loan market being scarce, where people say, oh, you're a new user, are you going to stick around, or are you going to quit after 2 weeks? Do I want to give you this player, for the rest of the season? So no, I think we're all on the same mindset of when this comes, hopefully that, everything's a bit more advanced.
Well, maybe this reputation could, it could be on the one hand like you're unofficial, like just how people know you, like do you honor contracts, but you could even make it official if you have those clauses, like what's your percentage of honoring clauses, and then on your profile it says like 10%.
Isn't that like a Black Mirror episode where you like they press the button and like your ranking in society goes up? Is that basically like, you know, just we'll pay someone to like downvote their YouTube video, just pay someone to downvote their reputation? But no, I see. Obviously, if it's linked to clauses, then you've actually got a stat to back it up. But
well, I mean, one of the points that I kind of noted down in terms of the question was, you know, would packs potentially create a greater divide between the top and bottom in terms of leagues? You know, because at the minute, I mean, one of the things I think about this game is this game pay to win? No. Is this game currently pay to win? Yes. You know, and Jimbo, you touched on it previously on, would it be worthwhile going in, purchasing a Stone Club, getting it promoted, selling it for more, investing that into players? You know, you could in theory start off in Stone Division, you know, loan players in, get through the season, get your points, pick up a player, carry on, you know, and go through numerous seasons and rise up the ranks, you know, and you see it in real life where a team will go on a run and you know, get promoted up, and that will be great to see. But this early on, you know, do you think maybe, especially where you've touched on the $40 to $80 for that same pack, do you think potentially that this early on packs may start causing a greater divide? You know, for me joining in, I think I'll tell you, in fact, I think I've got 19 MFL coins, wherever it is I look. I've got 911 I've got at the moment, you know, so what's that getting me? So, you know, as opposed to we're talking about how do you cut up 400k, you know, so of course you need to reward those at the top. But I do think it might be interesting to see, and, you know, if the longer that progression and promotion relegation take to come in, there might be quite a great divide between top and bottom, you know. And what are your guys' thoughts on that in terms of, you know, you can't just never do pack drops because the current players are going to get bored of that and want excitement. But it's, I suppose it's about how they regulate that, and I feel the devs have got a huge task on their hands on keeping this, you know, market balanced and stable, really.
I think that's what part of these pack drops. I think I said it last week. I said I may have not included it in the final cut, but I said we discussed was it Metaverse Noise's question about, you know, with things with the way the current engine is it worth spending money? Like fortunes was the word he used, fortunes, and I think I said probably not, and I said that I said I wouldn't be surprised if we see another pack drop before the official first season. That was like months in advance. But I've been looking at some of the prices like uncommons and things recently in a couple of players, and I didn't expect this pack drop as soon as it has been now, but I think it's been hotting up a bit. And obviously, at the end of the day as well, the pack drops is revenue for the dev team to provide salaries for the people who are working it, which is everyone apart from Mathurin and Yax, because those two they've not been paid a single dime in the two co-founders since they started it. I think it is a very interesting topic. That will it create a bigger divide? I think the promotion relegation helps if that does occur, because it will be a chaotic couple of seasons, but it hopefully balances things out. But there is an element to it where it's not pay to win, but if people want to, it's there, basically. And I think it's natural you're going to get a high roller wants to come in and get a quick win. Easiest example in real life might be your Newcastle, for example, not doing that well financially. Someone comes in and goes, yeah, we could spend loads of money and we can almost buy wins.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we might get financial fair play in MFL, hey? But I think we do see like a trickle down effect of those like leagues become stronger as the seasons go on, because people naturally want to win. No one likes losing. And the quickest way to get better is to purchase players. That's personally not the route I want to take. I don't want to do that. But it's definitely I guess a sensitive topic's probably the best one to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always you have to be careful with the supply and demand, and also when the store opens up, this will be interesting because people can now spend all of those points they gathered, and this will increase the supply. And also, those first seasons will be chaotic with stacked teams moving up, weaker teams moving down. It will be really chaos.
And I think we've been in this situation where, that obviously we had the initial club offering of, when was it, October 2022, when you could first buy club packs, and you could pay to have. Obviously, in the marketplace, you can buy whichever division you want, right? But you could have paid to have a chance at getting a diamond or a plaque club, gold or silver, bronze or an iron. Whereas now, for new, such as yourself, Palmer, you have to go in at stone from a pack point of view, which for new users you probably almost not push but incentivized to do, because it's the cheapest way to get a hold of yourself a club. Then after that, you go, I want to win. What do I do to win? I buy players that are better than what morally should be what that league is, etiquette-wise, or morally should be what's performing there. So I think it's going to be interesting for Stone, where Stone, you will experience, and I've experienced it, you will find the biggest divide and gap between clubs, because you'll get some people who just want to enjoy and play and have that feeling, people who go, F it, I want to win now. And they'll have a full stack team of rares, and you'll go, what the hell? And then you're praying and begging for promotion and relegation.
Yeah.
But it's something that you can. There's probably not one person in the MFL community, maybe a few, who haven't experienced that bridge before, or that gap in performance. There's a bit sort of element of luck of the draw when it comes to leagues who you're paired with, because you might get someone who's really overpowered. But I think eventually it does balance itself out. But it's one that promotion relegation, hopefully, I think does sort out, and progression as well does
exactly,
sort out.
Both player progression and promotion relegation should sort out all of those imbalances. And then but now what's happening indeed is like people who have been testing, alpha testing all of those seasons, they keep accumulating points, and they are now able to spend those points, and they will get a big influx of quality and new guys. So you might be right that it's widening the gap a little bit if we keep going. So hopefully season 1 will soon be around the corner, and then things settle a bit.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting when we look at the packs. Nobody even looked at this. I know, Jimbo, you kind of said standard pack and then quickly talked yourself out of it. But I mean, like the kickoff pack, and when people are going to be burning these kind of common players, it does lead the market to kind of go, well, there's very few common players. The only common players that are not going to be getting burned are probably the ones that have got a high defense, high physical, high pace, a standout stat. And those are the kind of players that go for the $3-4. And, is that entry market of kind of $1, $2 gonna die down? So I think it's going to be really interesting for me to see, coming in at this stage, what happens. The players that I'm investing in now, are they going to go up? Are they going to go down? Because as a new player, I don't know if I come and buy this $5 player, are there going to be loads of new packs, and that $5 player now is worth $1? Is that going to put new people off if they think, oh God, I've been in this for a couple of weeks, I've bought a load of players, and they're now worth nothing. This game's useless. Whereas other people might say, oh, brilliant, the market's balanced out. So I suppose you can't please all.
No. I think it's almost maybe is it part of us as community and MFL to sort of manage expectations in that sense then, where don't think it's an easy win. It's I constantly say it's a zero-sum game where, Palmer, if you win against me, you're happy, I'm really sad. And that's how it will go. And if I'm feeling sad more than you're feeling happy, and I've just suddenly got promotion at work, well, hey, flip those tables around, I'm suddenly rocking legendaries and stone. Maybe not quite that, but yeah, I think we should conclude the dilemmas there, and we'll ask our final question to you. We always
question.
like to, Sturge's question. So we always get our previous guest to ask a question for the next guest, or they do not know who the guest is going to be. And this time I actually had a question which isn't MFL related, which is quite nice. And it just was a simple question from Sturge to yourself, Palmer. What are your top 3 video games of all time?
I did try and think outside of the football world. And actually, it was quite funny that you touched on some of that FIFA 13, because in my mind I was thinking kind of FIFA from kind of 2013-14 when Ultimate Team started to about 2017. That period was up there in terms of my games. But standout, we've got kind of Skate 3, Black Ops 2, especially Zombies, that Kino de Toten, and
the Toten, yeah.
That back in the day was amazing. And probably over the the current one that I play a lot on is the UFC games. UFC. I mean, I've had UFC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the actual UFC games. So that's in no particular order. There's a few games there. So probably going to be. I'll stay away from FIFA, but Call of Duty, Black Ops 2, Skate 3, and UFC 4. I'll say that's my list.
Good little selection. And then ultimately your last official contribution of this podcast. What is your question for our next guest? Can be anything.
My question is, how do I word it? When buying, scouting, loaning a player, what do you look at more? The overall rating or the specific breakdown of stats?
Calva, have you got anything you wanted to ask or chat about?
No, I think we touched on a lot of great things, a lot of great stuff. So I already have a hashtag.
Whoopa! What a man. Okay. So
it's a bit the self-promotion, but add flavor.
Hashtag add flavor. Okay, we like it. So to prove you've listened this far into the podcast, we want you to go on Discord, where most of you do it on anyway, but if you want to do it on socials as well, especially X, Twitter, whatever, hashtag add flavor. Add flavor is the hashtag for this episode of the WenDirk cast. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. Palmer, like Calvin said, a massive thank you for you joining today. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
No, definitely. It's been great. Good
stuff. I think it's been a really valuable episode for new users, and it could be a resource for them to relate to. And I think also a lot of the things you were saying, maybe a lot of people might resonate with and connect with. I think the MFL team will be happy with your initial opinions on the 12 days you've had, 13 days when this gets released, that you've experienced with the MFL. But as always, thank you, all of you, our listeners. The support recently has been unreal. A few of you have followed since I did mention in the midweek episode. If you don't, Yax will code into the game that you will not win a trophy in season 0.6. And we immediately did see a couple more follow. So a couple of you, weren't treating that as a bluff, even though he did actually have to announce that it wasn't. It could be true. It wasn't true. But yeah, for those of you who haven't left a review, follow, subscribe to all that stuff on your platform of choice, please do. It really helps us and sort of spreads the word of not just WenDirk, but also MFL, which obviously turns out in Palmer's suggested YouTube video, a little Calvinate appeared and started talking to him. So it does work. It does work, trust. But on that note, thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirk cast. Thank you for listening.